and I smell alcohol coming from your breath, but I can also smell marijuana coming from this car. All right, turn around for me. Will you let me pee on that road? No, ma'am. Walk up to the jail.
On July 22nd, GloRilla got busted on drug charges, but the real chaos exploded after she got locked up. Word is she was attacked just minutes after getting booked. This wasn't some quick in-and-out jail story. It turned wild real fast. Now everyone's asking, who set her up? What really happened behind those cold cell doors? This isn't just some messy celeb drama. This looks like a takedown. GloRilla, a rising black icon, getting snatched up and tossed behind bars over what fans are calling fake charges. And to top it off, she reportedly got jumped in custody just for being bold, loud, and real. But here's the kicker. She wasn't even home when the drama kicked off. Let's rewind it. Early Sunday morning, while she was lighting up the stage at the WNBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis, 3 people broke into her house inside a gated community. These fools allegedly smashed in during the middle of the night to rob the place. But someone staying at the home, reportedly a family member, was ready. Shots were fired at the intruders. They took off, and the break-in was shut down. But when the cops pulled up, instead of chasing the suspects, guess who they focused on? Cops didn't go after the burglars. Instead, they raided GloRilla's crib, tore through the master bedroom, and claimed they found over 2.8 pounds of weed and THC wax. Not one burglar caught, but somehow she's the one facing charges. Let that sit with you for a second. Her house gets broken into, and she ends up in cuffs. By the time deputies stormed her luxury home in Forsyth County, GloRilla was hundreds of miles away on stage, turning up a packed crowd at the WNBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis. The timing, way too perfect, or maybe way too planned. Her lawyer instantly shut it down, calling the arrest unbelievable, making it clear she was the victim, not the criminal. And GloRilla didn't duck the smoke. She turned herself in without drama. But the price? A $22,000 bond and a mugshot that went crazy online.
It's called Glow's Prayer. I'm praying to God, like, God, please don't ever let me do that again.
60 day. Yeah. 60 day. What made you want to lock in and do like a 60-day celibacy?
Social media blew up with memes, messy comments, and nonstop noise. Just like that, the story flipped. From superstar shuts down WNBA stage to GloRilla arrested in marijuana raid. But this ain't her first run-in with controversy. Just last year, she had a different brush with the law that also raised eyebrows. It started off as a normal night, maybe heading home from the studio or an event, but things went sideways fast. Police body cam footage, now all over YouTube, shows a clearly caught off guard GloRilla getting pulled over. In the clip, she looks confused, slurs a little, and tries to play it cool as officers begin questioning her. When the cops started pressing GloRilla about how much she had to drink, things got messy quick. First, she says 4, then 7, then switches up saying, "I'm not drunk." But the officer wasn't buying it. He stayed cold and calculated the whole time. Then boom, just seconds later, GloRilla admits something that instantly takes the situation from a DUI to a possible felony. She said it herself. And for a lot of people watching that body cam footage, that was the moment everything changed. No matter how she tried to explain, the officer wasn't having it. And just like that, she was cuffed and booked. But let's be real. This new case ain't about a traffic stop. It's looking way deeper than that. Right after GloRilla was locked up this time, whispers started leaking out of Forsyth County Jail. And what folks were saying, shocking. Sources close to the jail claim she got into a violent fight with another inmate. She had visible injuries, bruises, maybe even a busted lip. Word is guards just stood by and watched it happen, and some are even saying she was specifically targeted because of her fame. So think about that. GloRilla wasn't even home when the drugs were found. She still gets arrested. And then she gets attacked behind bars. Sheriff Ron Freeman put out a public statement that felt more like a stiff legal cover-up than any real accountability. Let's break it down. They admitted GloRilla was a victim, that her home was broken into, that armed burglars had to be shot at just to get them to back off. They know her privacy was shattered, and yet she's the one who left in handcuffs. She's the one who walked out of jail, bruised up. This was never just about weed. This is about power, about punishing a successful black woman who came up fast, loud, and proud, and made certain folks uncomfortable. What happened in that jail cell? That wasn't bad luck. It wasn't a coincidence. It was bound to happen. The second GloRilla's name hit the system, it stopped being about the real criminals, the ones who actually broke in and jacked her jewelry. It became about tearing her down. We're talking about a woman who stood on award show stages, who shared private convos with Rihanna, who cried tears of joy in Beyonce's dressing room. Now she's reduced to another inmate, no chains, no heels, just a mugshot and trauma. Sources close to the case, speaking only under the radar, say GloRilla was instantly recognized by other inmates, but it wasn't love she got. It was jealousy, resentment, and straight up hate.
Turn around for me.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take this.
That doesn't change anything. You still are going to be arrested.
For what? You don't have any proof on me.
No, ma'am, I do.
From the second she stepped in, she was a target. One former inmate even told a Memphis blogger that the guards just tossed her in with the general population, like she was nobody. No special treatment, no protection, just thrown into the fire. And it didn't take long. Within minutes, a verbal fight exploded. GloRilla was mocked, threatened, and clowned for everything from her fame to her music. One woman allegedly screamed, "Oh, you not too famous to get touched." Another reportedly said she was a fake gangster and called her music trash. Everyone saw it coming. It was a setup, but nobody stepped in. Because in jail, fame don't protect you. It paints a big red bullseye on your back. Then it got physical. One inmate allegedly grabbed her by the hair and swung. In the chaos, GloRilla reportedly hit her head on a concrete wall. One source claims she had a split lip and was clearly shaken by the time officers finally stepped in. But here's the wildest part. No proof she ever got medical help. No hospital visit, no official statement, not even a mention of injuries from Forsyth County Jail. And that silence, that's what hits hardest. When the system acts like nothing happened, when they ignore the violence and erase her pain, it sends a loud message. Your safety means nothing, your voice doesn't count, and your pain gets buried. This is how they break people, not just through bruises, but through the mind. It's psychological. They make you doubt your own truth. And what's even more twisted, this ain't new. It's the same cycle black women have faced for centuries, from slavery all the way to now. Their pain ignored, their voices pushed aside, and their stories erased like they never mattered. The same forces that once denied enslaved women basic humanity are now hiding behind jail walls, media headlines, and industry gatekeepers. And when you really look at what's happening to GloRilla, it's a legal setup disguised as justice. Let's talk about Georgia's trap. Felony marijuana possession kicks in at just 1 ounce. Deputies say they found nearly 3 pounds in her room, plus 2 jars of THC wax. But here's the thing, she wasn't even there. She was out of state performing when the raid happened. None of that stuff was found on her. She didn't even know it was happening. And most importantly, the house wasn't empty. Her lawyers say a family member was living there and multiple people had access to the home while she was gone. So how does the law decide she's the only one responsible? Because in this system, fame's a double-edged sword. When you're successful, your name rings bells. But when charges hit, they don't care about facts. They just go after the name everyone knows. Forsyth County, once infamous for forcing out black families through violent mobs in the early 1900s, has only recently tried to clean up its image. But the shadows of that history are still alive. So when they arrest a black woman like GloRilla, when they blast her mugshot across every screen and headline, it's way deeper than enforcing a law. It's a message. This wasn't random. This wasn't just any county. Forsyth is a place where black families were chased out, where racial terror was organized and celebrated, a place where the ground still holds the memory of lynchings. For GloRilla to buy property there, to shine loudly in that exact place, that shook something. Because her presence alone, her success, goes against everything that system was built on. She didn't just break out of poverty. She climbed, bought into their world, and thrived in it.
It feel good, actually. I love it. Like, it help you. And sometimes, like, we need to hear people talk or criticism and shit. And so it can make us remember, okay, I got to get back on my, you know what I'm saying, on my...
And instead of celebrating that, the system treated her like a threat. They didn't just arrest a rapper. They targeted a woman who broke cycles. The system needs to stay in power. She owns property in their gated zones, shows up unapologetically, and refuses to tone herself down. That alone was enough to make her a target. And while the system came crashing down on her, the silence was deafening. Where was the WNBA, who just booked her to hype their biggest game? Where were the platforms that profited from her TikTok bangers? Where were the artists she shouted out, the ones who posted pics? shared her wins, or toasted her Grammy nod. Gone. Because when a black woman's under attack, suddenly nobody's around. We saw it with Megan Thee Stallion. We saw it with Cardi B. But GloRilla's story hits different because her arrest had nothing to do with violence or confrontation, just presence. It was weed, the same weed white celebs have smoked on camera, bragged about in interviews, and turned into multi-million-dollar brands. Seth Rogen built a whole empire off it. Miley Cyrus flaunted it on stage. But GloRilla, she's facing felony charges just for being near it. That's not justice. That's selective punishment. And it ain't new. This double standard runs deep, deeper than the media likes to admit. While she faces prison time, others are out here stacking money off the same plant. Legal weed businesses are booming, but guess who's cashing in? Venture capitalists, tech bros, celebrity investors, most of them white, and none of them worried about jail. The exact same substance that's threatening to wreck GloRilla's career is making millionaires in boardrooms across the country. It's not a coincidence, it's a pattern. The war on drugs was never just about drugs. It was about who they could target. The stuff that lands black women in prison becomes wellness and lifestyle when sold in boutique dispensaries. GloRilla's situation isn't rare. It's the system doing exactly what it was built to do. And the timing? Too convenient. She was rising, becoming more independent, more powerful, and suddenly, bam, charges out of nowhere. That's the playbook. Build them up, let them get a taste of freedom, then drag them down when they get too bold, too loud, or too in control. But GloRilla didn't stay quiet. After bonding out on $22,000, she hopped on social media and called it all out. Long story short, my house gets home invaded and I'm the only one that gets arrested. That's what GloRilla posted on X, and her fans weren't having it. #FreeGlo exploded within hours. What started as memes turned into full-on protest. Blogs began piecing it all together because this wasn't just a bad bust, it felt like a setup. In her 2024 Sit Down with Speedy from 360 with Speedy, she said it best, and turned back. It hit different now. No matter what's thrown at her, doubt, drama, or dirty charges, GloRilla turns up. She doesn't fold. Even when they try to lock her behind concrete walls, she shows up stronger. But if you want to understand why her being behind bars hits so hard, you gotta rewind. Way before the mugshot, before the cuffs, before the headlines, back to the roots, back to Gloria Hallelujah Woods. A girl from the Fraser neighborhood of North Memphis, one of 10 siblings, no industry ties, no silver spoon, just wild dreams, a deep love for God, and an even deeper hunger for music. No label, no budget, no studio, just grit, just faith, just vision. She wasn't handed fame, she built it from the ground up. GloRilla hustled her way out of struggle, out of silence, out of a world that told her she'd never make it. She broke through, loud, fearless, and full of energy. GloRilla never hid her story. She lived it out loud. She's talked about sleeping on air mattresses, packed into tight spaces with her siblings while her mom held it all down, raising 10 kids with nothing but grit and faith. And that name, Hallelujah, wasn't just for show. Her mom gave it to her with purpose. GloRilla said she never felt special, but she did feel called, like she was meant for something more. That's where her deep faith came from. Raised in the church, singing in choirs, dreaming of gospel stages. At one point, she even wanted to be a gospel artist. But the streets around her had a different rhythm. Poverty, violence, and survival all echoed through her life. And music, that became her escape. She started rapping in high school under the name Big Glow. Her early tracks were raw and unfiltered. DIY visuals, gritty lyrics, beats cooked up at home, and nothing sugar-coated. But even back then, she had that spark, a voice that cut through the noise, delivery full of fire, and a camera presence you couldn't fake. She wasn't polished. She wasn't built in some label's lab. She was real. And that's what made people stop and listen. Then came April 2022. GloRilla dropped FNF with producer Hit Kid. It wasn't designed to hit the charts. It was built to shake the block. A summer anthem for the girls, filled with raw energy, freedom, and sisterhood. FNF wasn't born in a fancy studio. It blew up from the stoplights and backyard kickbacks. Within weeks, it was everywhere. Women across the country turned that hook into a rally cry. I'm FREE, FKNG free. TikTok exploded. The energy was raw, unfiltered, real. The video, shot in Memphis. No big budget, just GloRilla and her homegirls twerking on car hoods, yelling into the camera, vibing like it was just another weekend outside, and that was the magic. It looked like us. Loud, authentic, unapologetically black and Southern. The industry couldn't ignore it, even if it wanted to. By the end of summer, FNF had racked up tens of millions of streams. GloRilla was officially the breakout star of the year. Then Cardi B called. They dropped Tomorrow 2, and it went nuclear. Top 10 on Billboard, viral again, and unstoppable. Then came the BT stage. Then came the award nominations. Then came that moment when she cried inside Beyonce's dressing room. She wasn't putting on a show. She wasn't doing it for sympathy. That was real emotion, because this was the same girl who used to binge Bad Girls Club during tattoo appointments. And now she was on stage next to her idols. But this wasn't just viral hype. GloRilla was stacking real wins. A Grammy nom for Best Rap Performance, BET Hip Hop Awards in the bag, a major deal with Yo Gotti's CMG, reportedly worth $500,000, and a spot on nearly every major festival lineup in 2023. GloRilla wasn't just an artist, she was a whole brand. Her slang, her memes, her raw, gravelly voice, it all became signature. You heard her once, and you never forgot it. Her style wasn't polished, her look wasn't industry crafted, but that's exactly why people, especially young black women, claimed her as their own. She proved you didn't need to be suburban, flawless, or industry approved to blow up. You just had to be real, unapologetically, loudly, fully yourself. But under the winds, there were signs of something deeper. When GloRilla spoke about love, how hard she loves, how deep her heartbreak runs, you could feel it. Even at her peak, she was still healing. Fame didn't erase the pain, it shined a spotlight on it. She even went public with a 60-day celibacy challenge, trying to cleanse herself emotionally and spiritually from all the noise. This wasn't just an artist chasing trends. This was a woman rebuilding herself brick by brick, right in front of the world. And that kind of vulnerability, it was her power and her risk. We live in a culture that screams for realness but punishes you when you're too honest. GloRilla's openness about her past, her hurt, and her growth made her relatable to fans, but made her suspicious to the industry. The spotlight hits harder when you're a woman like GloRilla. Every step is tracked. Every post is picked apart. Every slip-up becomes a headline. And the same rawness that brought her fame, that's the same rope they try to hang her with when things go left. She was never allowed to be the perfect victim. She was too real, too raw, too honest. And that's why her arrest hit so hard. We watched her rise, we watched her fight, we watched her survive, and then they hit her with a felony like it was nothing. But let's be real, GloRilla's arrest didn't come out of nowhere. It didn't start when cops stormed her home. This was brewing from the moment she went viral. Because the second a black woman like GloRilla becomes too loud, too hood, too sexy, too real, the clock starts ticking, tick, tick, until she's labeled a threat. She's just the newest name on a long list of female rappers the industry has used and tossed. The blueprint is old and dirty. First, they drain these women of every marketable drop, snatching their slang, copying their style, turning their pain into profit. And once these women demand what they're owed, fair pay, creative freedom, basic respect, suddenly they're too difficult, too emotional, or bad for business. None of this is random, it's a machine. A system designed to stop black women from building real power. The moment they get too big to control, they get pushed out before they can stack real wealth or shape the culture on their terms. The industry stays in charge while pretending to celebrate diversity. They can try to box her in, try to shame her, try to strip her down, but her story's not over, not even close. Whether the system likes it or not, GloRilla is still going, and we're watching. So hit that like, smash that subscribe, and drop a comment below. Let us know what you think about this case, and stay locked in, because you already know we're bringing the next wild story straight out of the hood to your screen. See what's popping next, right here.